As it's Sunday, it is Sunday Scoops. Good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Scoops as we in the penultimate Sunday before that day when we honor our maternal figures. Today we have lined up one of the most venerable bands, or rather groups, to come out of Jamaica, and that is Black Freedom, otherwise known as Black Uhuru. Uhuru is Swahili for the word freedom.
When you talk about Swahili, for the translation of Uhuru, Ducky Simpson said, never know what that means. Talk about that. So the man called the group Uhuru. Called him never named Black Uhuru initially. Uhuru. Uhuru was the initial name.
That was it?
Yeah,
Uhuru. I thought it was...
and him say, him shame to tell people.
Black Sounds Uhuru.
Him say, eventually, them add on the Black Sounds Uhuru. Because boy, when you grew up there, it's like Uhuru, and I say, wah.
Well, I can see that in Jamaica, especially when you're talking to people who are not that educated in the African diaspora.
Yeah, it's a the name, and then eventually the guy who gave him the name, I go call him scientist. I'm brethren still for life, you know. Ducky Simpson said, "Why I'm a brethren that for life." Although them cause and quarrel all the while. Come like me and you.
That's my best friends always listening. As my mother always tell me, teeth and tongue.
He said, it's afterwards you understand what the meaning of the Uhuru thing. I think, but we'll tell the people about all of that. As we say, I marketed this, when we do the promo, that we'll tell the real story, but we'll try as much as we can to fit in as much as we can as well into the 2 hours, and then we'll lace it with some of the tune there. But you're right, God. Black Uhuru, without a doubt, is one of the most venerable groups that have come out of Jamaica. Had its fair share of, intonations, because a whole heap of different people parade under the label. And they had their challenges. But
as all good groups do.
Yeah. Today we're gonna tell the Black Uhuru story. But I think we should start out with, just to give people a little taste, my thing already.
Well, there's one song that I always love that Black Uhuru doing, and is this song taken from their album in 1983, the title song, Anthem. Yeah, Sound of Anthem. And one of the reasons why I like this song is the lyrics. I and I are the living dread. And I was there at the launch of this album, Richie.
No wonder you fall in love with it.
No, but not from before then. But this album, because I wasn't there in the making, but I was there for the launch. At the Tropics nightclub on Dumfries Road in New Kingston. Yeah, man.
In those days, Dumfries Road, it's interesting.
Right across from Zinc Fence.
Yeah,
because third world.
It was a sort of a halfway spot between downtown Kingston and uptown. Well, you kind of edge on the border of uptown.
Because New Kingston is right.
Yeah, right.
Right across.
Run, the same.
Dumfries Road runs right into Barbados Avenue, right?
Yep. And so what happened is, it was where the downtown man them and the uptown man, because Chalice them used, what the name? Third World used to have a Zinc Fence.
Which is right across the road.
Right. And so it was a sort of a...
And Tropics was a nice, I remember Teen Jam used to be held there.
Yes. It was a spot where uptown is interacting, or downtown a meld into the uptown thing. And a sort of a halfway house. But, just perspective-wise, Black Uhuru started out in 1972. A long time. Remember about it?
Yeah.
Ducky Simpson.
That would make them 52 years old.
Yeah. Ducky Simpson put the group together.
Garth Dennis.
With Garth Dennis and Don Carlos. Rudolph Garth Dennis in name.
And Don Carlos was Uvin Spencer.
Uvin Spencer. Right.
Had a big hit again in the early 80s, 1982, Laser Beam. That was a very, very big hit for him.
Apparently, the group was just trying to get themselves together. put out they were basically rehearsing, trying to put some music together, but never did any recording for quite a bit, right? And then so what happened, because the group was sort of moving into the music sphere. They come from Waterhouse, but the music happened at Trenchtown. And it was Ducky, because him was sort of the spearhead of the group. And then he must say Rasta from early. And then Rasta and enough fight, if you remember them. Well, God,
I mean, remember 1972.
Yeah, man. Rasta and enough fight.
I was what, 7 years old?
But him say, him know as a Rasta, and the music that they put out was more than the Rasta way. Because him say, when them buck up, them eventually go, them rears a Trenchtown with the guys from the Jays, from Wailing Soul. In fact, God, Dennis had done some work with, I think it's with the Jays.
Right.
And him say, because they weren't recorded, he went and did something with the Jays, but then the Jays bossed it, and he want to come back in a Wailing Soul.
They had a big hit song with Ranking Trevor.
Right, and him say, boy, him can't deal with a part-time thing, and him say that's how Junior Reid coming at the group.
No, man, that was long after Brethren.
After. But remember, them wasn't recording, they were just.
I know, but remember how young Junior Reid is rich. It's not Junior Reid.
Him say, no. Michael Rose, man.
Yeah.
My bad. Michael Rose. Right? And so that's how Michael Rose. You can't say Michael Rose now was out there sing on the North Coast.
Yeah, because one of the relationships that Michael Rose had in a very early outset was with Sly Dunbar, because Sly was very good friends with Michael Rose's brother, who was a producer too.
Right.
And then he passed away, and Sly Dunbar took Michael Rose under his wing and help him to develop his own identity, because at the time, based on what Sly Dunbar told us in an interview, Michael Rose was trying to sing like Dennis Brown.
So Michael Rose sing like everybody.
Yes.
He can sing like Ori Sandy. He can sing like Dennis Brown. He can sing like Gregory. Everybody.
Yeah, man.
And him say, Ducky Simpson same turn. So what happened is, he might try drafting Michael Rose in the group. But Michael, I make money at Wochi on the North Coast. And
in Jamaica in the 70s, the cabaret performances
was
in the North
money.
Coast, you're working at the Playboy Hotel, you're working at, it wasn't the Grand.
Intercontinental.
Yeah.
Intercontinental.
And then out in Montego Bay at various hotels, people made a good living.
And him say, what? He said, him after Michael Rose, but he said still as a Rasta man, them used to burn out Michael Rose, because him a soul boy.
Yeah.
And say, even at one time, Ducky Sims say, even at one time, him to the cut off his locks and go and work with one of the ZD them with a one time store. And then he move out of Waterhouse and him go live somewhere up in a Ellis flats up the side.
Okay.
And him say, him up there with him brethren and living in him brethren house, and him brethren mother must send for him and say, all right, go and take over the house and thing. Pay the mortgage, which was about $7 a month or something like that. And him saying, I remember nothing about the mortgage. And the house, the bank auction the house under them. And him say,
at that time, to reach it by 1976, 1978, by that time, there was a whole drove of people leaving Jamaica.
Yeah, man, people are run with
because of democratic socialism, dubbed by the US as communism. And so, therefore, anybody who had any kind of little money or business in Jamaica, they gone down a homestead, and Andrew whap it back on them in 1992 and say, okay.
I remember that too. But it said, Michael Rose coming to the group. He said, boy, they must struggle to find a third man in the group. And so one day, Michael Rose come check him and said, why? So what I'm telling you? So Michael Rose said, why? He lose work at the hotel, So he lose work. He must smoke some weed.
Really?
Yeah. And I So he said that's all come now. Michael Rose joined the group. But he said, a problem. He said, Michael Rose, you have to try sound like yourself. He said, you can't sing like everybody. Man, take up your record. Can say them tell you, Michael Rose about 20 record already when you know 20 single.
You know, I need to go look up that.
Yeah.
I need to go look up
I'm
that.
saying,
We need to get an interview with Michael Rose. If you're listening, I'd spoken to him backstage at Reggae Genealogy earlier this year.
Oh, you
Yes, I did talk.
Well, we have to bring him
I
out.
have to bring him out.
But it's
I can't tell you still, Michael Rose, enough respect, but you're also a problem child.
well, we'll come to that. When you listen to the Black Uhuru story, you know, you say, here is a group of guys. Because remember, you know, God, when Marley dead in 81,
there was a big void.
Chris Blackwell basically said it openly that, say, Marley, the Wailers replacement, this. And, you know, him also featuring the problem. Me tell Black Uhuru is a conundrum in a bridge.
We have to break it down in small doses for the listeners. We can't be 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
We cannot take a chronological view of what is
so
happening.
Michael Rose coming out of the group, right? And then he said,
so Don Carlos went solo.
Yes.
And Garth Dennis left the group be with Wailing Souls.
Right. And he said them bring in Michael Rose, but he said he needed a third person. And he said what means from him early days as a Rasta man, he have a youth him refer to him as Soldier. And he said Soldier is a youth that come from England, you know, the army and thing. And he said Soldier basically give him some discipline. You know, so Soldier recognized him, love the singing thing. And him invite him up by me yard one time. And then the first time I meet Soldier wife, right? And him said Soldier wife is a nice American girl. And him said, oh, him say, you never tell me say man. Him say, yeah man, I'm my wife, this and Ray. And him said, you know, that was Puma Jones. Him say, him hear her in the kitchen and sing to the Marley album Kaya play. And she sing. And he said, but she can't sing. Your wife a big singer. And she said, she not about singing. She just love the song and thing. Because she dance. She must, I can't remember the group. She was full on. Ras Michael and the Sons of Neighbors. Yeah. And she said, Soldier turned to her and said, you know what, brother? If him say you can sing, you can sing. Mm-hmm. And him want to try a thing with you. And him said, so she, because her husband basically opened the gate for her. She come in at the group. And the rest, that little piece of the thing now is where that history form.
That was the final catalyst.
Right. And he said, Junior Reid now carry them down a channel one. We slide them there channel one. And he said,
you mean Michael Rose?
I always call Junior Reid. May mix up twice. Michael Rose. Bye.
You know the reason why, Richie?
Because them sound alike.
Because they sound alike. So Junior Reid later on was a showing for Michael Rose's departure.
Absolutely.
Because he had the same
and that sound is a Waterhouse sound. The man was telling us.
And where Junior Reid come from?
Waterhouse.
Under the auspices of
the
Sugar
Miner.
Yeah, man.
Jammies and all of them.
Yep.
And he said, there's a thing about Waterhouse sound. Because when you talk about Black Uhuru, Waterhouse thing. And so all of the singing intonations. Can I do it again?
Study me down.
Yeah, that's a Waterhouse signal. So I saw them come in and so them go down Michael Rose carry them now down a channel one and slide them now take up residence. And them say,
yeah, that was a revolutionary.
They slide now say, all right, I'm gonna do a session with them and the door open. And them say from there so the thing, no look back, take over.
1977. And they released their first album titled Love Crisis, but Prince Jammy was the producer for that album. And that album had a couple of hit songs on there. Again, one of them are my favorite songs. One of my favorite Black Uhuru is I Love King Selassie. And the other one was Time to Unite, Natural Mystic. And, you know, even though they did it then, the album was released until 3 years later as Black Songs of Freedom, and the rest is history. But let's give the listeners a taste of these 3 songs, starting out with Time to Unite, and then Natural Mystic, and my favorite, I Love King Selassie. Yeah, Richard, this song, I love King
Love.
Selassie. One of my favorite. Well, I wouldn't say one of my favorites. It's right up there. You can't tell a woman I favorite them. But not the ubiquitous Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. But we soon get to all of that. I would have worked though in the 80s, especially
Listen.
for them, man.
But they were doing
I mean, they had hit after hit that was on the Jamaican airwaves. It was all over. I mean, one of the biggest songs was Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, Party Next Door, and of course, on the Guess Who's Coming to Dinner album, Shiny Eye Girl.
Listen,
listen, we have 2 hours.
We're going to try packing as much as we can. And yeah, great music.
I'm telling you of their story.
Yeah.
I mean, we can play Black Uhuru end to end and still have time to spare.
You would need 2 more hours to cover the amount of music. Yeah. But you talk about the same album here. With the I Love King Selassie album. As you said,
the name of the album was it Love Crisis?
The Jammies was the source. Eh?
Well, he was a production.
Yeah, but it's what happens that Jammies re-released this album about 2 dozen times, right?
Under different names.
Under different names.
Wow.
So, again, Ducky Simpson, here's a man, him take some solid lick after himself. And basically, admitted his own deficiencies. At the time, him said when they were, him said him go to Jammies, and him said Jammies record them, right? And when Jammies put out the album initially, him said him don't get the money. He said I know them don't make $1 for the album, right? Because Jammies basically control the entire production. And then him said, on top of that, Jammies kept re-releasing material off of the album as dubs and different remix and all of that. And I mean, I talk about this is Ducky story Ducky Simpson telling him own story. He say what happened is, but him not carry no belly for Jammies still. He say, this was his own naivety, if you will. And he paid a heavy price for it. And it dogged him throughout the entire 50 years that them work together as Black Uhuru. And he said, by this time now, Marley, is on the verge of his transition. But they were building their own repertoire.
Talking about that, we're almost on the 43rd year of Marley's transition. May 11th, 1981.
Right, that's actually coming. So, himself, what happened is that they were putting, they were big on the dancehall circuit because that was the sound, it was the period of the Waterhouse period.
When I really think about what was paramount or premier in dance halls, or the dance then, so to speak, or the lawn in Jamaica at the time, it wasn't what we call dancehall now. It was a straight reggae music.
It was reggae music.
It was slow reggae. It was fast reggae. It was medium speed reggae. But all of them have one thing. It have vibe. It make the woman want to broke out and bubble and whine.
And him say,
and they lean her up in the corner and dub out her back. You trust me.
This was the period. And him said they had literally laid down their own footprints. Now, so while I'm a record, because him I write the tune, him I write a whole heap of tune. Him said, though, when Michael Rose come in now, because Michael Rose have recording experience ahead of everybody else. Him said, to a large extent, he deferred, some of the material. Michael Rose never necessarily want to sing for him, tune them when him a write. So together they would co-write certain songs.
And let me tell you, Richard, right? Them co-wrote a whole heap of hits. And especially in between the period of 1980 and 1980, what was about
4?
Yeah, because I think that's when
85, Michael Rose is leaving.
Exited and Junior Reid came in. And the reason why I kind of know instinctively is because 1984 into 85, I was transitioning from the heart trainee working at NCR into moving into Teachers College at Exeter Community College. And that was 1984.
God, you really people allow you to teach people pick their school?
Yeah, man. And then come out good too.
I mean, I tell you, I saw that people kill this man.
Yeah, yeah.
Or that, are you just that good?
I am instinctively, innately, I am a
You're
teacher.
that good. Well, we don't say you're good. You can't take a, well, you're kid as much as you can take it, you know. So, you have a way when you slide it in, everybody, I mean, just hold up that lick there and move on. Hold up that lick there.
Man, slide in and all that stuff.
You slide in a lick, man. Man, have to take your lick. But him said, Docky made another point. Him said, what happened, you know, when we go down on Channel 1, Sly control the thing. Sly basically decide who record, when you record and thing. But him want to record the tune them him right. And Sly give them, cause if you notice, they play the Bob Marley, the Natural Mystic.
It's a cover.
And him say, them Sly always give them other people tune for sing over. And him a push back. And him a say, boy, you know, cause I want to get fee material out there. And him say, Sly must turn to him and say, oh, you love the Rasta music thing, them son. Him say, because that when we know that him is a Rasta man and him want to use the music to elevate him own, you know, him own faith and the consciousness and thing. But him say, them man have them own agenda and them a push. For them agenda is if you look over next man's song because the song out there already, and while him as a songwriter
want to be
and
a
a singer,
breaker.
he want to break him own ground. And him say, well, him always knows, he said, Junior, Michael Rose was never necessarily opposing to that neither.
No, because again, he probably felt that he owed Sly a favor because Sly had take care of him from him.
When we come back from the break, they will tell you why it thing, because Simpson found that out eventually. But as you say, we're up on a break, so we could do that and we'll come back.
Youth of Eglinton, talking about the youth who were creating havoc in England and also in Kingston. We would say more put on them Senate and Western
and the Remington
pistol. So this album was an album called Red, Richie. And those were the top songs for me. And if you're a student of Black Uhuru, you'll also realize the unmistakable sound of Sly and Robbie in the production. The other person you can identify their sound onto was a next Rastaman called Aine Kamoze in his early years. Right. But Spongy Reggae, big hit. Puff She Puff was talking about a woman
with an attitude.
Puff Rasta. Yeah. That she was smoking and puffing on faces.
I think a lot of people
like bullfrog.
A lot of people hear the song and think that I will smoke weed. No, not to do that. And the other thing to God, don't leave the point because the same truth. Him said the youths of Eglinton. Nowadays we Mr. Man kill the youth and more than sing about gun and lick shot and thing. But Ducky Simpson basically I tell you say a long time we sing about gun. Right? Because the song the youths of Eglinton is a gun song.
Yes.
Right?
And it's a song about gun.
Right. It's about the use of guns, you know, strife and riot and
it's the same thing like the Bushman song when they say Carl the Hearse, people thought it was, you know, lifting up gun violence, but it wasn't. He was talking about the effects of gun violence.
So him said we were basically calling out this issue because it was part of their existence. Waterhouse is one of the roughest area, the roughest piece of Jamaica. At any time now you work, Waterhouse a rough area. And that's where you live, you see, you know, and then because they know travel, because they have the opportunity now, they must say the same thing.
I realize that Jamaica is no different, or the rest of the world is no different from their experiences in Jamaica. Absolutely.
And all the more reason to why the world and youths around the world, everywhere, can identify with the music or come out of Jamaica because the music speak to the same issues social that they themselves have to deal with.
All the different dysfunctions in society.
Absolutely. But we were talking about the the business were jamming with that early first album there. Right? Says
Love Crisis.
they did. What was happening is, he said he would, the songs he wrote, he would get it registered in terms of copyright purposes. But he said, well, I never know about. He said, no nothing about the rest of the other side of the music. But he said Michael Rose, and it took him a while to come to terms with it. He said what happened is he always wondered why Michael Rose not necessarily want to sing the song that him put up. And then, but Michael, is not resisting
or not resisting
working on songs with him, and they will put out those. But even though all of that are gone, him said the song them a record. Michael Rose is putting in is not just his copyright, but the publishing. I'm saying no, not about them side of the business there. And so to this day, a lot of the publishing that him take figure should be getting credit for. He's nowhere in the publishing side of the business. No, let me tell you something. I've heard, and we've been doing this program God now for 5 years. We have listened to recording artists, producers, songwriters, and everybody have their own story. But it is my view, the more I prepped for this Black Uhuru program, it provided me with a fulsome understanding of how the underbelly of the music and how these guys were exploited. Because whether you all like it or not, it is what it is, right?
It is what it is.
Here's a man who, okay, so he has put a group together. Him can sing, him know to make connections and things. But because we come out of a period where, as a country, we have never invested enough in educating our population. And people like Ducky Simpson and a lot of the people, and yeah, we may argue, but so Michael Rose did know about publishing. That is not to say everybody is a dunce, but if we educate people more, right?
But we're not calling people dunce, Richard. We're talking about education from a experiential level, what you call your vocational level. Thing. So the minute you identify that you want to go into the music business, the basic business of music should be taught. Simple things like copyright, publishing, royalties, all that kind of stuff. But guess what? The producers don't want you to be educated because away,
that's all they exploit.
That's exactly.
Hi there. If you enjoyed that clip, go on over to our website at yardmedia.com where you can watch the entire broadcast at your leisure. And while you're there, why don't you check out our other reggae music features? And before you leave, pick up some of our Jamaican reggae merchandise, and hey, don't forget to tell your friends.